Dinosaurs ruled the earth for over 165 million years. There were many theropods throughout the Mesozoic era that were extremely formidable. We've picked 72 that dominate the others. In this show, we will talk about these dangerous animals, including when they lived, what they ate, their weaponry, and how humans would fare if these creatures were still alive. From the tyrant lizard king, to the lord of the lizard eaters, to the meat-eating bull, this is 72 Dangerous Animals Prehistory. Spinosaurus grew from 46 to 59 feet long and weighed up to 16,300 pounds. It lived 99 to 93.5 million years ago in North Africa. Up first, Spinosaurus makes its comeback. Spinosaurus, the spined lizard, was the longest carnivorous dinosaur and one of the heaviest. It lived in the late Cretaceous period. At 59 feet long, it dwarfed all other theropods. Spinosaurus had a large sail on its back that was dual purpose. It is thought to have been a mating display like modern birds with their bright colors and other adaptations. Spinosaurus had a very flexible neck and tail, and a biomechanical analysis was done that revealed it would have been able to whip its tail through the water to stun fish like a thresher shark, and its sail would prevent it from spinning around uncontrollably when swinging its tail to the side. It's also hypothesized that Spinosaurus hunted in packs to herd and catch fish, like the modern sailfish. Spinosaurus had pressure receptors on its snout, like modern crocodiles and alligators. These allowed Spinosaurus to detect the movement of animals in the water around it. When prey got close, Spinosaurus could strike with extreme accuracy. Spinosaurus had neural spines on its tail vertebrae that would have created a smaller sail. This allowed Spinosaurus to swim through the water more efficiently. Spinosaurus fed largely on fish, but would have also eaten other animals smaller than it too. It caught its prey using its long conical teeth to puncture its flesh and prevent it from escaping. Spinosaurus had massive claws on each of its fingers that would have been dangerous weapons. It could easily rip its prey apart with them. Spinosaurus would be a large hazard to humans. Its large claws and teeth, as well as its massive size, would give it an easy time taking you out. Spinosaurus takes first for now. Can it be overtaken by the giant southern lizard? Giganotosaurus grew up to 43 feet long and weighed up to 18,000 pounds. It lived 99.6 to 95 million years ago in Argentina.
Giganotosaurus was a massive carcharodontosaur from the late Cretaceous period. Giganotosaurus had the largest skull of any theropod dinosaur. It had a great sense of smell that allowed it to detect its prey from miles away. Its teeth were serrated and could easily slice through prey's flesh. Giganotosaurus targeted giant sauropods, such as the Argentinosaurus, as its prey. It used its serrated teeth to slash at the legs and undersides of its prey to weaken it. It could also cripple its prey by slashing its Achilles tendon with its teeth. Then, it waited for its prey to die from blood loss or infection. Giganotosaurus targeted mostly younger and smaller Argentinosaurus. Giganotosaurus could run at speeds of up to 31 miles per hour. It was easily fast enough to catch you and take you out using its teeth to slice you apart.
Spinosaurus was mostly aquatic, so it wouldn't have been too big of a threat to humans. Spinosaurus still would have been dangerous, but Giganotosaurus overpowers it and takes first. Spinosaurus falls to second. Up next, the crocodile mimic. Adult Suchomimus grew from 40 to 50 feet long and weighed up to 11,600 pounds. It lived 125 to 112 million years ago in West Africa. Suchomimus was a giant spinosaurid from the early Cretaceous period. The holotype was a juvenile and measured 36 feet long. Fully grown adults would have measured over 40 feet long and up to 50 feet long, and would have been super predators capable of killing any animal in their habitat. It would have fed on dinosaurs such as Allosaurus, Cararadatasaurus, iguanodontians, and small sauropods, as well as pterosaurs, crocodilomorphs such as Sugus, sharks and other fish, and turtles. Most Spinosaurids had relatively straight conical teeth, but Suchomimus had backwards curving serrated teeth. These would prevent small prey from escaping from its mouth and slice up flesh from larger animals. Suchomimus had a 5-foot-long skull with 122 teeth in its jaws. Suchomimus had extremely powerful, muscular arms that were equipped with massive sickle claws. Its thumb claw was 2 feet long in life with a keratinous sheath covering it. Suchomimus's arms were more powerful than any other animal's. It snatched smaller prey items up in its jaws and used its arms to slice the arteries of larger prey, making them quickly bleed to death. Suchomimus had a bite force of over 16,000 newtons. This means it couldn't eat bones of large prey animals. It used its jaws to hold its dinosaurian prey by the throat, and then used its claws to rip them apart. It could run at up to 24 miles per hour. Suchomimus was a ruthless killer, capable of taking down any theropod smaller than it in a 1v1. Its claws would do some serious damage to other creatures in a fight. It could use its claws to end you quickly, or take you out with one bite of its jaws. Suchomimus easily overpowers Giganotosaurus and Spinosaurus and takes first. Giganotosaurus moves to 2, and Spinosaurus to 3. Giganotosaurus mostly attacked gigantic prey, meaning it might hesitate to attack a human. Suchomimus fed on prey of all sizes, giving it the advantage here. Incoming, the high-spined lizard. Acrocanthosaurus grew up to 40 feet long and weighed up to 14,600 pounds. It lived 113 to 110 million years ago in North America.
Acrocanthosaurus was a massive Carcharodontosaur from the early Cretaceous period. It is thought that Acrocanthosaurus had a continent-wide range in North America. Acrocanthosaurus had a small sail over its neck, back, and hips, created from tall, neural spines on its vertebrae. The sail was likely used for fat storage. Acrocanthosaurus was the apex predator in its habitat, preying on sauropods, ornithopods, and ankylosaurs. It couldn't move very fast, and reached a top speed of only 15 miles per hour. Its bite force was nearly 17,000 newtons. Acrocanthosaurus had a strong sense of smell. It may have been slow for a theropod, but it was still faster than most humans, especially long distance. Acrocanthosaurus would take you out with a powerful bite.
Acrocanthosaurus can't top Suchomimus or Giganotosaurus. It takes third, pushing Spinosaurus to fourth. Next up, the terrible claw. Danicus reached lengths of up to 11 feet long and weighed up to 220 pounds. It lived 115 to 108 million years ago in North America.
Danicus lived in the early Cretaceous period and is one of the best-known dromaeosaurs. Danicus was an active and agile animal. It had 70 curved teeth in its jaws. It hunted in packs to take down prey that weighed up to 4 tons. Danicus had 4.7-inch long sickle claws and used them, along with its other toes, to pin prey down like modern hawks. It had a locking ligament in its foot, like modern birds, that allowed it to grasp things and perch on objects, such as tree branches. Danicus would jump onto its prey's back and use its teeth and claws to cause as much damage as possible. While its prey was pinned, Danicus fed on it while it was still living, until the animal died from blood loss or organ failure. It had a bite force of over 8,200 newtons. Danicus was an expert climber. It could use its powerful forelimbs to grasp branches of trees while climbing. It could launch itself from a tree onto the back of its prey, and it was also capable of flight. It could have taken off and flown for short distances too. Danicus could run at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. It could easily outrun a human and tackle them and eat them alive. Danicus would likely be accompanied by several others in its pack, giving it an easier time cornering you and taking you down. Danicus could enter buildings and continue the chase, making it scarier than some larger dinosaurs.
Due to Danicus' pack hunting ability and it being terrestrial, it beats Spinosaurus for 4th place. Spinosaurus moves to 5th. Up next, the Tyrant Lizard King. Tyrannosaurus grew up to 43 feet or larger and weighed up to 20,000 pounds. It lived 72.6 to 65 million years ago in North America. Tyrannosaurus is the most famous dinosaur of all time. Tyrannosaurus was the largest terrestrial carnivore to ever set foot in North America. Tyrannosaurus used its large head and extremely powerful bite force to take out its prey. Its bite force was approximately 57,000 newtons. Tyrannosaurus's head was at the perfect height to bite the necks and backs of its prey. A bite from Tyrannosaurus in the right spot would cripple or kill its prey instantly. It could bite through Triceratops horns and Ankylosaurus armor. Its U-shaped snout allowed it to take a bigger bite out of its prey than other carnivorous dinosaurs. Its teeth were up to a foot long, including the root. Tyrannosaurus had a powerful sense of smell that allowed it to detect prey from miles away. It also had great eyesight. In fact, it had the best eyesight of any animal ever. It had binocular vision and great depth perception. Tyrannosaurus's arms may appear small and weak, but they were capable of lifting up to 440 pounds. A recent analysis of Tyrannosaurus's speed found that juveniles could have ran at speeds of up to 18 miles per hour. Adults would have maxed out at 11. Tyrannosaurus could not live in modern-day America. Male humans run at an average of 8 miles per hour. Females average 6.5 miles per hour. Someone running for their life can reach 12 miles per hour. We tire quickly, meaning that Tyrannosaurus will outlast us in the long run due to its larger stride. A Tyrannosaurus would be capable of catching a human. The only problem is that it would take a massive amount of energy being expended. Humans are also not very big of a meal compared to Tyrannosaurus's usual prey. If it was solely targeting humans, it would die of exhaustion and starvation because it would be working too hard for its meals and not gaining enough strength back. If Tyrannosaurus cut humans from being its main prey and targeted cattle, it may have a chance at survival. It could take out an occasional unsuspecting human that it caught by surprise, or someone who would have a harder time escaping, such as someone who is overweight. Tyrannosaurus could likely survive in Africa just fine, however, with a large mix of prey items available that are big enough to sustain itself. If Tyrannosaurus managed to catch you, there would be zero chance of survival. Its bone-crushing bite would quickly end your life. Tyrannosaurus takes 1st place.
Whoa. Hell nah.
Suchomimus had never seen such bull before.
You're going to last place, buddy, where you deserve to be.
Tyrannosaurus was a very powerful animal, but you need to remember, that's all it was. It was not an unkillable, unbeatable god. It was a living, breathing animal with weaknesses, just like everything else. I like to think that if a Tyrannosaurus and human came face to face, they would look each other in the eyes for a moment and peacefully go their separate ways. Now, it's halftime. Mape grew up to 33 feet long and weighed up to 10,000 pounds. It lived 72 to 65 million years ago in Argentina.
Mape was a giant Megaraptoran from the late Cretaceous period. It was the largest Megaraptoran of all time. Even though only about 30 of its bones are preserved, Mape's holotype is one of the most complete Megaraptoran skeletons. Mape was named after a being from a Patagonian tribe's mythology who was the shadow of death. After Cararadatasaurus went extinct, Mape and other Megaraptorans rose to power as the apex predators in the southern hemisphere. Mape had a bird-like respiratory system, meaning it was very active and a fast runner. It would chase down its prey, rather than ambushing it. Mape's thumb claw was 18 inches long, but in life would have been covered in a keratinous sheath that would have made it 27 inches long. It hunted ornithopods, ankylosaurs, and sauropods as its prey. It used its claws to puncture its prey's organs and rip them apart.
Once its prey was dead from blood loss, Mape could feed. Mape was a very powerful animal and could easily take out a human.
Megalania reached lengths of 23 feet and weighed up to 4,200 pounds. Utahraptor reached lengths of 23 feet and weighed up to 1,100 pounds. They both had a bite force of around 6,000 newtons. A single Utahraptor was capable of taking down an animal the size of a subadult iguanodon at 4,000 pounds on its own. A single Megalania was capable of taking down an adult male Diprotodon weighing up to 7,700 pounds. Diprotodon was far more dangerous than Iguanodon. Diprotodon was smarter, had better weaponry, was more robust, and was better armed. While Iguanodon had a thumb claw, Diprotodon had 5 sharp claws in each paw, as well as massive incisors that could do some serious damage. Megalania has a hunting experience advantage. Utahraptor ran at around 20 miles per hour, while Megalania could burst up to 30. They were both ambush hunters. Megalania would have more explosive attacks, better reflexes, and quicker strikes than Utahraptor. This is backed up by the abilities of the modern Komodo dragon. Monitor lizards have a mammal-like metabolism, meaning they can breathe and run at the same time. Megalania and other monitors have exceptional stamina. Komodo dragons can fight for hours without stopping and track a buffalo they bit for 14 days. Utahraptor had an advanced avian respiratory system, making it a tie between their endurance. Utahraptor's sickle claws were 15 inches long in life. Megalania had 5 6-inch long claws on each of its feet. Even with the keratin covering, dromaeosaur claws were rather blunt. A study was done to test the strength of a velociraptor claw, where a claw was created from bone and covered in keratin, and slashed at a saltwater crocodile hide, and the tip of the claw broke off. Meanwhile, Komodo dragon skin is bulletproof and impenetrable to knives. Megalania only had thicker and even stronger skin. Komodo dragons have knocked humans, deer, and even horses off their feet using their powerful tails. A slap from Megalania's tail would break Utahraptor's bones and likely kill it on impact. Megalania's venom was fast-working and was an extremely dangerous hemotoxin. It had large serrated teeth. Utahraptor's teeth couldn't even penetrate Megalania's skin. Utahraptor and Megalania meet in a grassland. The dromaeosaur locks in on its target. It charges at Megalania and pounces. Megalania turns sideways and smacks Utahraptor in the chest with its tail. Utahraptor falls to the ground, ribs broken and heart stopped. It's dead. Utahraptor circles Megalania, looking for an opening to attack. It jumps onto Megalania's back and attempts to dig its massive sickle claws into Megalania's flesh. Utahraptor's claws can't puncture Megalania's skin. The tips of Utahraptor's claws break off from the failed attempts of an attack. Megalania shakes its body around, throwing Utahraptor off of it, since Utahraptor can't get a grip on Megalania's skin. Megalania crawls onto Utahraptor and sinks its teeth into its neck. Utahraptor bleeds out as Megalania rips out his throat. Megalania lunges from behind a bush and bites Utahraptor on the knee. Megalania's hemotoxin begins its nasty work. Utahraptor attempts to fight back, but Megalania dodges its attacks. Finally, Utahraptor delivers a kick to Megalania's side. Utahraptor's claw splinters, and the force of the impact against Megalania's tough skin breaks Utahraptor's foot. Utahraptor stumbles and falls. It attempts to escape, but it can't get very far with a broken foot and venom coursing through its veins. Megalania grabs Utahraptor's foot in its mouth and pulls it backwards. More venom enters Utahraptor's body. Megalania pins Utahraptor down with its arms and bites its face. It shakes its head and rips Utahraptor's skull apart. Utahraptor's dead body makes a fine meal for Megalania. It's a bit bony, but that's fine, as Megalania could digest bones. Now, back to our finalists. Incoming, the Utah Thief. Utahraptor grew up to 23 feet long and weighed up to 1,100 pounds. It lived 139 to 134.6 million years ago in the state of Utah. Utahraptor was the largest dromaeosaur. It lived in the early Cretaceous period. Utahraptor was heavily built and had small serrated teeth in its elongated jaws. Utahraptor's hand claws were 10 inches long and were specialized weapons used for slicing through the flesh of its prey. Each of its second toes was equipped with a 15-inch long sickle claw. Utahraptor had extremely good balance and could balance on one foot while kicking its target. A single kick from Utahraptor's mighty legs would have killed smaller prey instantly and spilled the guts of larger prey. Multiple kicks and slashes from its hands would have quickly killed any target. Utahraptor also uses jaws to deliver fatal wounds to the necks of its prey. It was a pack hunter that hunted within family groups. It ran at an average speed of 20 miles per hour. Utahraptor was an ambush hunter. You wouldn't stand a chance against this dromaeosaur's jaws and claws. Utahraptor overpowers Danicus and takes 4th, pushing Danicus to 5th, Spinosaurus to 6th, and Tyrannosaurus to 7th. Next up, the giant thief. Megaraptor grew up to 26 feet long and weighed up to 2,200 pounds. It lived 90 to 88 million years ago in Argentina.
Megaraptor was a large megaraptoran from the late Cretaceous period. It had 2 large claws on each hand and 1 smaller claw. Its large claws were dangerous weapons that it used to slice up its prey and competitors. In life, Megaraptor's claws were covered with a keratinous sheath, bringing them up to 18 inches long. Its jaws weren't strong enough to kill larger prey. Instead, it used its massive hand claws to kill large prey items. It ran at speeds of 31 miles per hour or greater to catch prey. It actively chased its prey, rather than solely being an ambush hunter. For larger prey, Megaraptor would grab it and puncture it with its sickle claws. Its claws would penetrate its prey's organs and weaken it. Then, it would use its claws to rip it apart in the right places to make it bleed out. For smaller prey, it snatched it up with its long arms and held it tightly, slowly biting chunks out of it while it was still living. Megaraptor was one of the only dinosaurs capable of picking up and holding a human. This prehistoric praying mantis would quickly catch you in a chase, grabbing onto you and eating you bite by bite until you were gone. If it ate you feet first, you would have to sit through some serious pain while waiting for your death from shock or blood loss. That would not be a fun way to go.
Praying Mantisaurus takes 2nd due to its brutalness and thanks to it being the right size to easily target humans. Giganotosaurus falls to 3, Acrocanthosaurus to 4, Utahraptor to 5, Danicus to 6, Spinosaurus to 7, and Tyrannosaurus to 8. Suchomimus holds strong in 1st. Can it be overthrown by the different lizard? Allosaurus grew up to 43 feet long and weighed up to 12,000 pounds. It lived 155 to 145 million years ago in North America and Portugal.
Allosaurus was a giant allosaurid from the late Jurassic period. A fully grown Allosaurus maxed out at around 40 to 43 feet long. It had large arms with 3 fingers and 8-inch claws. In life, the claws would have been 12 inches long due to the keratinous sheaths covering them. It had a horn over each of its eyes that were also covered by keratinous sheaths. It had 76 teeth in its 4.6 foot long skull. Its teeth were long, curved, and serrated. Its teeth also could cut through its prey's flesh like a hot knife through butter. Allosaurus was the apex predator of its environment, hunting and killing both herbivores and other carnivores. It had a Jacobson's organ, allowing it to smell and taste the air. This allowed it to locate and track prey from miles away. It also had good hearing and was adapted for picking up low frequencies. Allosaurus also had a bite force of over 55,500 newtons, making it strong enough to crush bones. It could slide its bottom jaw forward and downward, allowing it to take a bigger bite than more other similarly sized theropods. Instead of crushing bones with its jaws, Allosaurus charged at its prey with its mouth wide open at an angle of 92 degrees and slammed into its prey like a battering ram. Then, it would rip a chunk from its prey by stepping backwards. Allosaurus repeatedly ripped chunks from its prey until it was weakened by blood loss or collapsed from the pain. Its skull was light enough to kill agile hadrosaurs, but strong enough to collide at full speeds with sauropods without being damaged. As well as killing sauropods, it also would have taken chunks out of them until it was full while they were still living. Then, Allosaurus would have left it alive to heal and came back later to feed again. Allosaurus killed smaller prey, such as hadrosaurs, by pinning them down with its arms and tearing out its throat with its teeth. Allosaurus could run at speeds over 34 miles per hour for long distances without tiring. It could chase its prey and kill it much before it would tire itself out. Allosaurus was a pack hunter, using its numbers to kill prey items including sauropods that measured over 215 feet long. A pack of Allosaurus would surround you, cutting off all your exits, then move in for the kill.
Allosaurus shoots straight to first. It was the perfect size to feed on humans, had dangerous weaponry, and hunted in packs. Suchomimus falls to second. Megaraptor, Giganotosaurus, Acrocanthosaurus, Utahraptor, Danicus, Spinosaurus, and Tyrannosaurus moved to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, respectively. Up next, the Earth Lizard. Mapusaurus grew up to 48 feet long and weighed up to 18,000 pounds. It lived 97 to 93.5 million years ago in Argentina.
Mapusaurus was a massive Carcharodontosaur from the late Cretaceous period. The largest specimen had a head that was 6 feet long and has been estimated up to 48 feet long. Mapusaurus lived in family groups and hunted in packs. It used its numbers to take down giant sauropods such as Argentinosaurus. Mapusaurus had large, serrated teeth. It used these to take chunks out of its prey. It would take bites out of sauropod while they were still living, using its teeth to cut chunks out effortlessly. When it was full, it would leave and wait for its prey to heal, then come back again later to attack them again. Mapusaurus had a V-shaped head and small arms. It could run at speeds of 30 miles per hour. A pack of Mapusaurus would easily be able to kill you.
Mapusaurus is a close match for Allosaurus, but Allosaurus still holds on to first. Mapusaurus mostly targeted gigantic prey and wasn't used to killing smaller prey items like Allosaurus did. Since it hunted in packs, it still beats Suchomimus and takes second. Suchomimus, Megaraptor, Giganotosaurus, Acrocanthosaurus, Utahraptor, Danicus, Spinosaurus, and Tyrannosaurus fall to 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th, respectively. Incoming, the meat-eating bull. Carnotaurus grew up to 30 feet long and weighed up to 4,600 pounds. It lived 72 to 69 million years ago in Argentina.
Carnotaurus was a large abelisaur from the late Cretaceous period. It had large horns above its eyes that were covered in keratinous sheaths in life. Its neck was very muscular, and it had a relatively short and deep skull. Its arms were small and useless. It had large bumps covering its skin. Carnotaurus had a great sense of smell, but poor hearing and eyesight. It had 62 long, slender teeth in its mouth. Carnotaurus could open the front of its mouth while its jaws were closed. This was made possible because its lower jaw had a hinge on the front. Its bite force was around 3,300 newtons. Carnotaurus was very fast, running at over 35 miles per hour. It couldn't make sharp turns, but it could still catch up human rather easily.
The only thing Carnotaurus has going for it is its speed. It beats Tyrannosaurus because of this and takes 10th. Tyrannosaurus falls to 11th. Allosaurus holds on to first. Our last finalist is the shark-toothed lizard. Carcharodontosaurus grew up to 42 feet long and weighed up to 15,400 pounds. It lived 100 to 94 million years ago in North Africa.
Carcharodontosaurus was a giant Carcharodontosaur from the late Cretaceous period. Carcharodontosaurus had teeth that looked nearly identical to great white shark teeth. They were thin and heavily serrated. As well as having shark-like teeth, Carcharodontosaurus also had a high tooth replacement rate, just like sharks, replacing damaged teeth quickly. Its light-billed skull measured around 5.2 feet long. It had a bite force of approximately 11,300 newtons, which meant it didn't eat bones. Carcharodontosaurus didn't have binocular vision. It had very small arms. Carcharodontosaurus charged at its prey and slammed into them to bite off a chunk of flesh. Its teeth cut through flesh effortlessly. Carcharodontosaurus could easily eliminate a human using its deadly jaws.
Carcharodontosaurus takes 6th, pushing Acrocanthosaurus to 7th, Utahraptor to 8th, Danicus to 9th, Spinosaurus to 10th, Carnotaurus to 11th, and Tyrannosaurus to 12th. Mapusaurus, Suchomimus, Megaraptor, and Giganotosaurus finish in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, respectively. Allosaurus is our winner and takes the title of most dangerous dinosaur to humans. Stay tuned for Season 3 of 72 Dangerous Animals Prehistory, an additional 72 Prehistory mini-series featuring even more dangerous prehistoric creatures, and of course, 72 dangerous fish. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll stick around. There is a large group of snakes called the Kolibrids. These are considered non-venomous and include species such as the king snakes, hognose snakes, rat snakes, garter snakes, and water snakes, as well as many others. One famous species of kolibrid is the boomslang, which has an extremely dangerous venom. While considered to be harmless, other non-venomous kolibrids actually have venom. While it's nowhere near as potent, it's still possible to be killed by a garter snake's venom. Any kolibrid is capable of killing a human if they are allowed to keep pumping in venom for at least 30 seconds. So if you're bitten by a snake and it doesn't let go and you think, "Aw, it's trying to swallow my finger," it's actually busy at work pumping venom into your body through its rear fangs, the same kind that boomslangs have. Do not let kolibrids chew on your fingers or hand. It could kill you. Kolibrids also have an anticoagulant in their venom, which is why you bleed uncontrollably when bitten by some species, such as water snakes. Here is a photo of me holding a Diamondback Water Snake while bleeding out from its venom. After the photo, the snake was released without harm. As for me, it took a lot of antibacterial wipes, soap, and water to clean that up. My hand was super swollen afterwards, and I was only bitten 4 times, each only for a split second. If that snake held on, the outcome would have been worse. In each episode, we will rank the creatures from 1 to 6 on a scale of how potentially dangerous these creatures would be to humans, and the winner of each episode will showdown with the other 11 finalists in the season finale to decide on which prehistoric creature was the ultimate human killing machine.